Hey, what's up guys and welcome back to Anime King. And today I'm going to be giving you part 17 of What If Naruto Was Born in the Uzumaki clan. Remember to get this one to 200 likes as usual, share this to all of your friends in your social media platform, and also, go ahead and check out the new episode of What If Naruto pushed himself to his limit and enjoyed that guys over on Anime King 2. And later on I'm going to be posting a new episode of What If Naruto was raised by the Hyuga clan. So stay tuned for that, and I do hope that you guys enjoy. And remember, if you're new and this is the first time hearing my voice and you enjoy the videos on both Anime King and Anime King 2, go ahead and click that red subscribe button and become a part of the Anime King family. And thank you for all of your help and support. And yeah, without further ado, what is to begin this new episode? Let's begin the intro. So, the last part we left off, the people of Oza saw their fort coming back as Naruto was with an army behind him. Yes, an army. But despite they didn't know he had a much larger forces with the white Zetsus. Despite them not being that strong, they had the numbers. Coming back to the city, everyone was happy to see him. Nagato and Akeno had to go back to the Hidden Rain as their assistance is needed there. As Naruto said his goodbye to them, not before Nagato whispering something to Naruto, as they hugged each other. Sometime later, Naruto walked off with Kushina, as Nagato told him to give her a chance, despite Akeno arguing to tell him no, but she trusted Nagato and she told him that if Nagato said maybe he should, as Naruto talked with his mother, surprising Kushina to how different he seems now, as she saw that her son was not really happy. Despite talking to the girls and everything, he was just using a mask. She could see it. As she walked around with him and talked, and she even met ghosts that licked her. As she smiled at the wolf. Despite being a vicious beast on the battleground, he was quite gentle and nice. As Naruto brought her to her apartment, well, this was where he lived. Well, Nagato did tell her that the people wanted to make Naruto happy because they didn't want his dark powers to go on a rampage. So the place was quite large where he lived. As Naruto turned down the offer of living in the Uzumaka's mansion, many homes were destroyed, so he allowed the rest of the Uzumakis to take up residence there. But he was brought many things from the noble houses, furniture, everything. As he told Kushina that this is their house, surprising her even more, she didn't want to impose, but he told her she could stay. As she asked him why he hated Konoha so much, he told her that he was the one that almost killed Obito. That shocked her. As she looked at him, he made the memories go through her mind, seeing everything that Konoha people did to the Uzumaki childrens, to Akeno, putting them in cubes and all that, killing the rest of the elders, the Anbus did it. As she was shocked, she went over to the sink and barfed after seeing the gruesome sight, especially in the laboratory. Back at Konoha, Hiruzen was pissed as he was thinking of killing Orochimaru just out of pure rage. How could he let Minato do something like that, despite acting peaceful outside and mending their fallen comrade Minato? Obito was also there in the room as Orochimaru insists that the boy be here for this, as there was a blinding rage building inside of him. As Orochimaru told them everything, well, he lied about everything. Well, he told him about Naruto, but he lied about the part that Naruto captured Kushina and forced Minato to attack Kumo or watch her die. As the rest of the Anbus agreed, as Orochimaru told him that their life will be spared if they just agree with him. As Danzo and Orochimaru shared looks, they wanted the Uzumakis to be wiped out, seeing that they were the ones that sent out the Anbu to capture the rest of the Uzumakis and Orochimaru to experiment on them. But Hiruzen told them no, as he told Jiraiya and Stanley to go and meet up with Naruto, the leader, so they can have a talk, as he wants to settle this right here and right now. There will be no more bloodshed between them and the Uzumakis. Much to Danzo and Orochimaru resentment and hatred, but there was also another hatred building inside the room that no one was really focusing on. Back at the village, Naruto was talking to one of the lords, as that man was also Akaino's father, but she never knew, seeing that she was not born a full Uzumaki because he had been in love with a Kumo Kunoichi, and he took her when she was born, seeing that the mother died. But the father of the house back then did not allow her to stay here, so he had to give her up in the orphanage. But he saw her came back with their leader. That is why he stood by Naruto's side, as Naruto promised the man that he will make all of the people that attack Uzo will pay, no matter what the cost is. So yeah guys, that was basically as we left off. You guys can switch across the page and check it out for yourself. So, what is to begin this new episode? The half moon was shining across Uzo, as Konan was sitting on the roof with a smile on her face. The place was truly beautiful. You once asked me about my legacy. Konan smiled, hearing his voice behind her. So did you find the answer? I did, Naruto said as he sat down beside her. Giving this village, my friends, my family, a peaceful future. That will be my legacy, he said. How much are you willing to sacrifice for that? I want it more than you can even imagine, he said. Then, I'm happy for you, she said. Konan felt something touch her hand, as she looked down to see that he had entwined his hand with hers. As she looked back up at him, if it gets too dangerous, retreat and come back, he said. He almost pleaded, as she could see the fear in his eyes for her. He was afraid for her, about this mission that she was going to undertake, as she felt a strange feeling in her chest. Hanzo asked me to follow all of your orders. I know how much alliance between our villages is crucial right now. But I must do all I can, even if that costs me my... She felt the tightening in her hand. No, Naruto said. I don't want to win a future if it caused my friend's death. Your best friends will be safe, she said. I want all my friends to live and be happy, including you, Konan. She couldn't help but look at him. She was feeling strange things that she never felt before. Yet, emotions for ninjas were truly dangerous in a time of war. But you don't truly know me, she said. Then I'd like to know you, he said. Would you like to do something, he asked. I have to be ready for tomorrow, she said. Please, he said, as he was giving her the puppy dog eyes. She knew that she had to be ready for tomorrow, but looking into his eyes, she had met many men in her life. Many of them just want to get into her pants. As she thought the same about him with his asshole attitude at first. But now she realized he just wore it as a mask. To protect himself, she has seen how dearly he loved Nagato and Akaino, despite his original decisions to kick Yanko off the team. He didn't, but he changed the boy instead and turned into a fine shinobi, and he befriended Kiyasuke and Deibatsu. As she saw that it was just small acts, but she started to feel something strange from then on, and these feelings only grew when she helped him win over Uzo. Yet, even the harshful glares, everything that he received from the people, even though he saved them, he never gave up. He kept on fighting no matter what and did his duty towards his clan. Fine, she said. Moments later, Konan watched as he took his boots off and sealed them into a scroll. Well, he said. I'm not taking off my sandals, she refused. Trust me, he said. She sighed as she took off her sandals, as he took them and sealed them away in the scroll as well. The place was a bit cold as she shivered a bit, as she did not pack any winter clothing. She then felt something wrapped around her, as she looked at him. He had given her his coat. He shrugged. I'm used to this weather, he said. He then gently took her hand, as they both walked towards the beach. She felt a strange sensation when her feet touched his hand. It was warm, soft, and she felt her feet muscles relaxing. Thank you, she said, no understanding why he asked her to take off her sandals. I aim to please, he said with a smile, making her roll her eyes at that remark. Your village is quite beautiful, she said. As they walked along the sandy beach, you haven't yet seen Uzo in his true glory. Give me a year or two, and I promise you, he said, with determination in his eyes. Somehow, I believe that you can do it all. Know that you're the leader, she said. Well, I'm just doing my job, he said. She shook her head. For someone so talented, he surely had issues accepting that he was a good leader. How are you holding up, she asked. She thought that he was going to lie and say that he was fine, but she saw him sigh. It's crazy. Don't get me wrong. I am glad we managed to save Uzo and my people, but I never wanted to be the Uzukage. It's tearing me apart. I feel like I have to act like two different people now. It's hard, he said. Being a leader is not easy, and even so, do your people have a better alternative than you in the moment? Not right now, he said. Then that's settle it. You have to be there for your people. If it means being the leader that they need, you have to become one. I know, he said. Konan then looked at him as she saw that, despite everything, he was still young and kind of inexperienced. Leading a survival village was hard. Leading a group like the Akatsuki, that was merely raw power. He was a leader, the ruler there. But the economy, an entire village, that was hard. Nor did he have any of his previous Kages before guiding him on the subject. But she then remembered the others. Lady Tuka was a scared woman who wanted to keep the place isolated, thinking that the others will just forget about them one day. And Lord Arima, while a better leader, he wasn't willing to accept the leadership. Even if he was, the other houses would fight him, thinking that he would favor his own house over theirs. And Naruto was not a part of any noble house, so that was out of the question. Thinking that he would favor his house over the others, so she had to give him. Then trust us, she said. You're friends. No matter what, we will not let you fall, she promised him. As he spoke, was my decision to let Kushina stay right, he asked. She hoped he would not ask this because she could see. His mother was a sensitive topic for him. He wanted to get close to that woman, but where did Kushina true loyalty lay? Konoha will come for her, that's a promise. But if she wants to stay in Uzu, you'd have to let her be, Konan said. My father said the same thing, he told her. As she saw the look in his eyes. What did Minato say to you, she asked curiously. The final words he told me that he knew I could never forgive Konoha. So he asked me to just punish the ones that were responsible for making my people suffer. He told me that the Hokage Hirusun never betrayed us, so I should at least hear the man out. Yet he told me regardless of my decision, he will love me to the end. She saw him look away and she saw a small tear hit the sand. But she held on to his hand, so to make him not move away. Even with all of your resources, you cannot fight a two-war with Kumo and Konoha, she said. I know. That is why I must win Kumo as soon as possible, he said seriously. And I'll be there with you, she said. I won't fail you. I know you won't, he said. As the both of them start to walk for a few seconds in silence. Until Konan think about something. Say, when you get your revenge and make your enemies pay, what then? What do you see for your future, she asked. I'll return home, he said. As she was staring at him. What is it, he said. Oh, nothing, I just thought that you would want to rule over other nations by conquering them, like an emperor or something else, she asked. No such thing for me, I don't want to rule anyone, all I want is a transparent world. I am attacking the great nations because they have hurt my people, but also because they stand in the way of the progress of the world. They terrorize other smaller nations and it has to be stopped. War, mayhem, that will always happen, but I am trying to reduce the scale of that. Today all nations are isolated by themselves. The Akatsuki and my mission is to break that isolation and bring the rest of the smaller nations together. It should be easier from there on. It really sounds easier said than done, but no matter what I will do it, he said. As she was staring at him. Why are you staring at me like that, he asked. Oh, it's a good future, she said. I just didn't think that someone so young would think of it, she said. As an arrogant smirk came on his face. You talk like you've seen many decades, Grandma. Don't call me that, she said. Fine, fine, Grandma, he said. She reached down and picked up a handful of sand as he ran off. As he was running around and she was chasing him, she formed a hand sign. A paper tag exploded in front of him, sending sand all over him. She then felt the sand under her feet burst up as well, pushing her on the ground. As she glared over at him, but he laughed. Seeing his peaceful, gentle laugh, she couldn't help but laugh as well. Here the both of them were enjoying life with the person they liked. She thought to herself, as she looked over at him. Out of all the men, Naruto Uzumaki was definitely the most frustrating and mysterious one. He was a dangerous ninja, and an asshole most of the time, but now she has seen this new side of him, and it was beautiful. As she saw him lie flat on the sand and gaze at the sky, she followed him as she felt herself relaxing, looking up at the stars. As the both of them talked, as he talked about the history of his village, happy customs, and different festivals, as Konan was surprised that Uzumaki's followed multiple gods instead of one great god. One of the hosts worshipped some strange sea god. Lady took on her house follow some noble qualities were a man and a woman. They were led by different goddesses and gods. And Lord Arima house was the only house that worshipped a deity known as the Old God. What about you, she asks. Which one do you worship? Everyone, he said. I'm not really frantic about the true God out there, he said. So I just follow the greater one. And I'm not really a part of any noble houses. I'm just a bastard, so no one really bother me too much. Does it bother you? Even after everything, you are still regarded as that. I don't know, he said. When I was sent to Uzu, my mother never revealed the name of my father. There was no proof that she was married before having me. So that made me seen as a bastard. That's stupid, said Konan. It is what it is. Maybe one day after this is all over, I'll do something about it. Now, she said, is the time to do that. Your clan is weakened greatly and the noble houses have lost much of their power. How many of your kinds are out there, she asks, as she didn't really like to refer to him as that. People who were born without their parents becoming married are known as bastards, one that given to their lust to born a bastard child. Maybe around 100, Naruto said. So they're not considered Uzumaki, she asks. No. Not even you, she asks. Well, I am considered one because I'm the Uzukage, but legally, no. If I have my own child by marriage, they will be welcome as true-born members of the clan. But I will remain a bastard for my life, he said. So do something about it then. You are the Uzukage after all. What? Do you even know the unrest it will cause? The noble houses will have my head, he said, which made her growl. You're the Uzukage, damn it. Say you need to legitimize all of your kind to bring your clan back to full strength over the years. Appeal to their rationate side, and if they still oppose you, cut off a few heads and the rest will fall down. And fall in line. I will not kill my own people, Konan, he said. I've said this before and I'll say it again. Show too much kindness and they will not fear you. And if they don't fear you at all, they will not follow you. She saw him sigh. I'll think about it, he said. But she knew that he would probably not do it. As silence rained down on the both of them, as they had opposite opinions on this. He was too naive when it comes to his clan. He then started to talk again, as he told her about her mission that Deibatsu would be going with her. Yaiko would be staying with him. As he told her about the soldiers under her command, she was happy that she had so much. But she didn't like the Jashin members going with her. Those people don't seem to have a mind for themselves, they just seem to relish in the thought of killing. And also they butcher her people when Naruto first met them, so she really didn't like them at all. But he told her that they were needed for this type of mission. She relented, but told him not to make Hidan come, as he was the worst of the entire cult. As he agreed, Konan was surprised that he was going to give her 2,000 barrels of hellfire liquid that could rain havoc. And he told her that she should be incredibly careful with that, it was extremely dangerous. So you plan to invade Kumo on land while they chase after me, she asks. Yes, by the time they realize what is going on, it will be all over, he said. I hope so. Because if you're late, I'll die, she said. I won't let that happen. I promise you. She smiled. I hope you don't make promises you can't keep, Naruto Uzumaki. Meanwhile, at Konoha, Hiruzen briskly walked into the biles of Danzo's base. It was midnight. He received important developments that could go against his plan of peace. Is the prisoner alive? Asked Hiruzen as he looked at Anfu Owl. Yes, Hokage-sama. On patrol, Fukagu-sama and some of his clan's men caught, and Uzumaki trying to enter the village. This is grave news. I need to talk to the prisoner and find out what Uzu is up to. We cannot have any more war, said Hiruzen. No, we cannot. But Hokage-sama, most of the clans, mainly the Uchihas, have bad intentions, as they are really against the idea of you having come in place and talk to the Uzumakis, said Eagle, as she was one of his loyal Anbu guard for the last 5 years. Both of you already know sometime a leader must make decisions that are not to make everyone happy. I'll perhaps be hated for my plan of peace by future generations, but if I do not make them now, there will be no future generations. Even the strongest tree cannot stand alone in a violent storm, and Konoha cannot wage war against the entire world. We understand, the both of them said. They were loyal just like Tsunade and Jiraiya, and they understand that peace was necessary instead of waging war. As Hiruzen saw a group of people, some Uchihas, Anvus, and even Orochimaru standing in a circle around someone. As he saw the silhouette of someone, the bright red hair, he noticed the prisoner in a chair. "We have the prisoner secured, Hokage," said Danzo, not giving the right respect to Hiruzen, saying Hokage-sama. That made the Anvu guards right beside him tense a bit. Something was up. But Hiruzen walked forward with the Anvus behind him, making the Konoha ninjas part way for him. He passed by Orochimaru, who didn't look at him. His student was angry at him for peace. No matter though, he will get over it soon enough. Hiruzen grabbed the face of the prisoner and lifted up. He was cold. He then noticed his lifeless eyes, his throat was slashed. What the? He couldn't get to finish that sentence as he felt the cold metal pierce right through him. Hiruzen's eyes went wide. It was not the pain but the shock. Who had stabbed him? Orochimaru. His two Anvus pulled their blade but they were caught down by Danzo. Hiruzen spat blood as he saw. It was mixed with a white liquid. A poisoned sword. "For Konoha," said Orochimaru as he pulled his blade from Hiruzen's chest. As two Anvus wearing that blank face mask stepped forward, Hiruzen couldn't move as he was paralyzed by the poison. "For Konoha," they said as they plunged their blade right into him. One by one, the remaining Uchihas and all of them buried their blades into Hiruzen. Blood oozed out of his body like a river, yet he stared at his people with tears in his eyes. Why? He wanted to say but he couldn't say it out loud. He was going numb from the poison. And he was going to die. Blood was leaking from him from all angles. As if to answer his question, Danzo stepped forward, seeing the look in his eyes. "Tobirama Sensei entrusted us to protect Konoha, but your peaceful, delusional ways will destroy us all. You have served Konoha long and great, but it's time for you to rest now. The people know that an assassin killed you, and now there will be no more peace talk, only war and rage. Die gracefully, knowing that we will destroy Konoha enemies once and for all, and remain on top." As Danzo kneeled, "Do not destroy the leaf, Danzo," said Hiruzen, pleading with his last dying breath. "It will never fall, as long as we stand tall," said Danzo, as he drove his blade into Hiruzen's heart. As Hiruzen's lifeless body fell to the ground, "Konoha will never fall," said Danzo, standing to his feet, looking on the bleeding form of Hiruzen. A week later, Konan stood on the ship, the deck, as her eyes observed the 10 other warships, all of them sailing towards the land of lightning. But she was inexperienced as she never led a war platoon before. But Naruto gave her the plans and everything that she needed, even though they were outnumbered by the Kumo forces, their navy fleet. But a lot of Kumo force has been break down by the Yellow Flash himself, who took out the third Raikage and his son, and destroyed half of Kumo's army. He would have destroyed them all if Killer Bee, the Eight Tails, had not risked his own life, sacrificing himself to kill Minato. Many across the world regard the event of Konoha gaining justice for Kumo assassinating the second Hokage and attacking Uzu. But it was far from that, as Naruto also played his part by liberating Uzu from Kumo, killing 1,000 Kumo shinobis, and including killing the Jinchuriki Yujito. Right now the land of lightning was ripe for invasion, the leader dead, half of the army killed and his Jinchuriki is gone. But Konan knew there were still at least 70 warships, with at least 1,000 sailors or more. Naruto has destroyed over 30 of them when he first came to the Uzu, but the rest of them were at Kumo. As Konan heard someone call her name as she turned, she saw Deibatsu. He's ready. As they walked into a room, as they saw a member of the Akatsuki, his name was Mika. He had far more experience on this, warfare and all that. "My fellow Akatsuki spies have infiltrated the target cities. By now, they're ready to sabotage the city defenses," said Mika. "How do you know this?" Deibatsu asked. "I know," that was all Mika said. Konan wanted to say something to him because he was looking at them like they were some silly child who was just given a toy by the master. But she remembered these were Naruto man, these Akatsuki soldiers. "Tell us what you know." "Everything," she said. "Our spies told us that Kumo has at least 80 ships in totals, scattered around the cities. Each of these cities may have 20 ships in total. Kumo is expecting an attack, said Mika. That is troubling, said Ebatsu. Well, said Mika with a smile, they have divided their forces. And while they outnumber us, they don't know where we can attack. When we attack, our spies have orders to shut down all of the communications, so they won't be in touch with each other. Some of our spies are already in a location to destroy some of the ships as they are on the shore. Is there anything else? Asked Konan. We will follow your command because Leader Sama asked us to, said Mika. We will obey. She nodded as she ordered him to leave the room as he left. What's wrong? Said Deibatsu. I am not fit to be commander, she said, of such a large force, such a large army. If I fail, Deibatsu gave her a smile. Then we fail. All I know is that I'm here to fight for my friends. For our cause, for the Hidden Rain future. I am not really smart or cunning. All I have is my strength, my conviction, and my loyalty. And they are yours, he said, as she felt Deibatsu place a hand on her shoulder. Give me the command, good or bad, right or wrong. I will get you the victory, he said. How can you be so sure? Because I am a ninja. I'll fight for my nation and my friends, for long as I can. Maybe I'll win, maybe I'll lose. But no matter what, I will never surrender. As she smiled, thank you, Deibatsu, she said. I'll go see the man, he said as he walked away. As Konan was happy that Naruto sent Deibatsu with her. He could have sent Yaiko, but it was like he understood that she needed the iron strength of Deibatsu. The next day, for the next few hours, Deibatsu and 100 soldiers sailed towards Kobe. He never expected Konan to make such a drastic move. But if this worked, they will get the enemy by complete surprise. He was with 24 of the Jashinis, who were just itching for a fight. He had already told them that if they don't rein it in and follow his command, they will receive harsh punishment from Naruto, who was his friend. Hearing that, they just went completely into respective mode. It seems like they were scared of the Dark Lord, what they call Naruto, extremely fearful. But they were the only ones crazy enough to carry hellfire on their backs. And no matter what, his mission will be a success. By sunrise tomorrow, either this village will burn, or he and his man will all die. Time skip. Konan sailed over as she looked down in the village below her. Large mansions, flourishing markets, as the place was bustling. This was the grand hall of the city, with the largest harbor with 30 ships there. This was Kumo's largest and most wealthiest city after the capital of the lightning daimyo. She could see her entire fleet slowly approaching to the city in the darkness of the light. 2,900 soldiers ready to take them all out. As she decided to do a twin strategy with Deibatsu, him attacking Kobe. That held Kumo food supplies, while she attacked Sesbotsu, which held the symbol of Kumo wealth and power. She could see all the defenders at their post, despite it was close to midnight. They were not taking any chances. If that fleet of 30 ships marched out to meet our own ships, it would be the end of our campaign, so they had to be quiet, going through the darkness. As she arrived right above the Navy fleets, as she placed her hand together, dance of the formula paper, she said. From her body, hundreds of paper bombs started to rain down on the fleets. A young Kumo Chunin with sandy blonde hair were the first to feel something was wrong. What do you feel, Sensor? His commander asked. Sir, I feel a large amount of chakra being building up. The man looked around, as he then looked up in the sky. What the hell? Snow? No, it can't be, as the man grabbed his binoculars. His eyes went wide, warned the fleet he couldn't get to finish that sentence as explosions rained from the sky. In seconds, 10 ships were already sinking, and many more were getting obliterated. The commander jumped over as he ran down the alleyway, as hundreds of his soldiers followed behind him. Watch out, the commander yelled. His name was Dode, as he saw paper shuriken slicing his man's throat. He looked over at C, the censor. Ships, said C. Are they ours? No. Attacking ships, said C. A lot of them. As though they looked over as he heard the roars of those men coming on the ships, ready to kill his people. See, report back to headquarters and get my second in command to take charge of the city defensive, yelled Dode. What about you, Commander? C asked. As Dode glared at the army and that dangerous woman in the sky butchering everyone. I cannot leave those men to get butchered. I'll get as many as I can back and then I'll lead them from the walls, said Dode. But the fleet, said C. It's already dead, said Dode. We don't have time to save them. Now go! As C offered a quick salute and retreated behind the walls with dozens of the warriors. As Dode looked up at the wall defenders, as he pointed at Konan. Kill her, he said. As arrows, kunais, everything started to rain towards Konan. She looked down at Dode and he thought that she would attack. But no, she didn't. She turned and retreated as she looked down at the destroyed harbor. Help the wounded, said Dode as his man moved forward. As he rushed towards the water, he quickly went through hand sign, lava release, rubber wall. The sea water in front of Dode evaporated as hot lava spewed out of his mouth. As it rose higher and higher until he stood at a firm defense against the coming ships. As he watched his soldiers gut the ones that were wounded and still alive behind the wall. Meanwhile, Daibatsu and the others were underwater. Well, their head was barely above it, as they were moving in the quiet. As they moved towards the scattered ships, their form being hid by the darkness, Daibatsu saw one of the Akatsuki members smile at him before merging into the wooden ship. What the hell, Daibatsu thought. Just what were these people? One by one, he watched the rest of the Akatsuki members merging into the wooden ship. As he then heard the massacre begin, they started to slaughter the members on the ship. Daibatsu then saw one of the Kumo shinobis rush out and looked at him. He was about to attack when the Kumo shinobi smiled and reverted back to the Akatsuki member. They were changing their forms. Seeing that, he quickly told the cult members that were carrying the hellfire to board the ships. As Daibatsu got up there, he saw the Kumo shinobis looking at him. What are your orders, Commander? As it was his man, but they turned into the Kumo shinobis. This was a perfect fleet for assassination. What is this? Asked Daibatsu. We can infiltrate almost anywhere. Walls don't mean anything to us. We can take the form of a man to his very DNA. We can even remember their recent memories and perform their techniques to an extent. What are you? Asked Daibatsu. The soldier smiled. We are called Zetsus. Daibatsu just nodded. Order, Commander, said Zetsu. Can our spies get us in this city? Me and these cult members, asked Daibatsu. As Zetsu smiled, looked out in the harbor, as he saw a dozen of Kumo shinobis. Are they all? As Zetsu nodded. As Zetsu turned back towards him, the rest of the Kumo ninjas come. That were disguised Zetsus. Let's become ninjas of the night, said Zetsu. Back at Uzu, Naruto was pissed off, as Lord Arima and Yaiko was beside him. They were supposed to be marching towards Kumo. They had prepared everything, but now, complication has arose. To begin with, Naruto was in a happy mood, seeing that his mother had yet to talk to him after he showed her the memories and told her his intentions. Sure, they live under the same roof, but she was still in a dilemma, so he left her alone. As he was frustrated that he was slowly gathering supplies as well. Lord Arima and Yaiko were doing their best, but the other houses were not so cooperative in providing their wealth and their hidden supplies for war. In the end, only through numerous threats and persuasions that made them fall in line. And it had wasted a lot of time. Yaiko was not happy as well, because every moment they spent here, Daibatsu and Konan would be in more danger. We should kill them, Lord Ford said Arima. As they look forward, they come under a peace banner, Naruto said, and one of them is our blood. A distant relative, Tsunade Senju. She's only Lady Mito's granddaughter. Or have you forgotten how they butcher our people when we only wanted aid, Arima said. We don't kill the messengers, Naruto said. Especially our own kin, despite being a distant relative. Would Konoha have treated your people the same way? Yaiko asked hesitantly. That is the difference between us and them. I intend to keep that difference, am I clear? The both of them nodded as they resumed their march. Ghost was right beside Naruto as he was growling at the two shinobis in front of them. One of them was a tall man with long white hair in an unruly hairstyle, as he was wearing a Jonin flap jacket, but he carried no swords or heavy weapons. The next one was a beautiful woman, as her blonde hair was tied in a ponytail. She had fair skin, as she had on a jonin jacket as well, and she had some large breasts. Naruto placed a hand on Ghost to make him calm down a bit. I am Naruto Uzumaki, the fourth Uzukage, he said. Surprisingly, Tsunade gave him a bow that made Yaiko blush because he could see down her shirt. As he turned his head, the woman gave Naruto a warm smile. I am Tsunade Senju, granddaughter of Hoshirama. Senju, student of Hiruzen, the third Hokage. I am Jiraiya, student of Hiruzen Sarutobi, the third, and teacher of Minato Namikaze. If Naruto was surprised, he didn't show it one bit. Why are you here? He asked. It was strange. Tsunade gave him a peaceful smile that made it look almost real, like she wanted. Despite not knowing him and everything that is going on, it was peaceful. For peace, she said. As that caught him off guard, time skip, Tsunade had a smile on her face as she watched Jiraiya and Kushina talk. As Jiraiya was smiling, seeing that he loved Kushina like a daughter, it was then they came all to know everything. The sacrifice that Minato made for his son, every single thing. Why this entire bloody war has started. Tsunade was shocked, so much bloodshed, so much pain, so many innocents lost. If Naruto was speaking the truth then, there was people in Konoha who need to pay for their crimes. As a Senju and the heir to Hoshirama, it was her duty to preserve Konoha, even from the own people of the village if needed. Tsunade looked over at Naruto, with his big white wolf beside him. After hearing everything from Kushina, his life was just a sad story. Born with the tainted fire of the Kyuubi, being taken away from his parents, have his home destroyed, having to flee and betrayed by your home closest allies, returning, winning over the victory, and also becoming the youngest Kage to ever live. His journey was fascinating and heartbreaking. His life was full of lies, suffering and pain, and yet he fought. He fought through it all. Looking at this boy, she could tell why she felt that strange connection to him. This boy, he was Naoki reborn. He was different in personality, but their spirits were the same. The only difference is that Naoki fought and believed and died for Konoha, while Naruto was fighting and giving everything for Uzu. She debated, telling the truth, that it was Uzu leaders that forced him away from his parents, that Hiruzen had no hand in slaughtering his Uzu survivors. But she had seen the fury in his eyes. The only reason why she was allowed to talk, it was because of her connection to her grandmother, Mito Uzumaki. It wasn't much, but the Uzumakis always try to look after their own. But at this point, the boy would most likely behead her and Jiraiya if they told him the truth. She had no proof, and if she went and spoke that, disrespecting the Uzukages, the boy would get truly angry. Seeing that the second Uzukage that oversaw the exchange was now dead, the third Uzukage was dead as well. The only person left was Hiruzen. He was probably the only one that the boy could go to, and Hiruzen could tell him the truth. And the records still existed in Konoha Library. Yes, the guarded library, about when Naruto was taken by Uzu. It still had Uzu's seals and large second on it. Yes, that would make him believe. He just has to meet with Hiruzen. But it would break the boy to figure out how much Minato loved him, that Minato lied, that he was the one that forced him to Uzu. It would break him a lot. Jiraiya still wasn't comfortable talking to the boy after knowing that he sent Minato to his death. Tsunade understood that it was Minato's choice, but Jiraiya had loved Minato as a son, and he blamed the only person that he could. Well, Naruto didn't care what Jiraiya thought. As Tsunade walked towards Naruto, Yaiko placed his hand on his sword. Tsunade had noticed that a boy was staring at her chest, but now he has gotten over that, and he was now thinking in his brain. Or maybe he now knew that she was a Senju, and she would squash him like a bug if he looked at her the wrong way. Yet he glared at her with his hand on his blade. Leave him alone, said Yaiko. I am Konoha ambassador. I will talk to the boy, she said in an icy tone. As Naruto turned and looked around, he gave Yaiko a nod that made Yaiko step back. Before Tsunade could speak, Naruto spoke before her. There will be no peace, he said. She clenched her fist. Couldn't this young boy think before dooming thousands of people to their death? If you can give Hiruzen-sama a chance, he will clear this all up, she said. My people are still dead, he said. Please, at least listen to Lord Hokage. If you don't, your clan will lose more, said Tsunade. So will Konoha, he said. God, he was stubborn. In a war like this, Konoha will beat your forces, she said. You know that. He did not say anything, but he had a smile on his face, like he was up to something. But without proof, she could not accuse him of anything. I can ally with the San. How would Konoha like to fight a two-war front, Lady Snavy? He asked in a dangerous tone. You wouldn't. Konoha is my enemy, Naruto said, cutting her off. And I will do everything in my power to see you pay for your treachery. Konoha butchered my people, who were defenseless and broken. They took my clan children to experiment on them. Where is the proof, she said. Forgive me if I don't take your word alone, or those of your clan, Snavy said. If he was going to be stubborn, then so was she. And there wasn't any proof of his claim. There wasn't any single body that was found. No authorization or records of the envoys that were mobilized to do that. No such mission. And she knows Heroes will never do something like that. He would probably rather die. But the glare she received from Naruto, it made her gulp a bit. If you weren't on a peace banner and shared our blood, I would kill you for that remark, he said. She knew that she pushed too far. I am sorry for my words, she said, but we need proof. If we are to punish those who did your people wrong, or at the least convince the Hokage of your accusations, Hiruzen Sarutobi is a man of honor, and he would never authorize such things on people who are like family to the entire village. He didn't say anything, he just remained quiet for a long while, until he spoke. The last time I trusted your village, I lost many good people. I can't afford to do that again. We won't, she said. You're an honorable person, my lady, but there is no respect or honor in this world. As he started to walk away, she started to sweat. She couldn't allow this to happen. She couldn't. She couldn't allow Konoha to go up against the Uzumakis. They would be slaughtered, and she could never face her grandmother. She could never even think to utter her grandmother's name again, knowing that she failed in doing this. Because Danzo and the other warmongers would kill every single Uzumakis. She was desperate and ran after him. Yaiko tried to stop her, but she punched him as he poofed into smoke. A shadow clone? She sensed movement behind her and pulled a kuna, and she blocked Yaiko's blade as he emerged from the sand. The hair on the back of her neck stood up as coldness descended upon her, and it was not Yaiko. As Naruto's blade was right at her neck, ready to end her life, his demonic blooded eyes looking right at her. From a distance, Jiraiya and Kushina was running towards him to stop this madness. But if he chose to, he can just take off her head now. She turned and she looked right into his eyes. She saw that this boy was a deadly cold killer, and she had provoked him. She knew that it would take a lot for him to list the reason. Not money, not gold, not fake apologies. He needed something. Snavy knew what she had to do. She had seen Nawaki and a lot more children die in the previous war. She would never allow it again. Naruto's eyes narrowed as she kneeled in front of him. As Hoshirama and Mito's ear, on the honor as a Senju, on the blood that ran through both our veins, I, Snavy Senju, pledge my life to defend the Uzumakis, Lord Fort, and this village if Konoha should try to betray you. I swear it by all the gods, old and new. And if you don't believe me, I shall end my life here right now, because I will not kill my own blood no matter what. As she held a kuna in her hand ready to end her life, holding on to the necklace on her chest, Snavy did not look up as she was risking everything: her home, her loyalty, her people, her Dan, her family legacy. But she really did not want war. Stunned silence echoed in the area. As people were shocked, they gasped, but she heard nothing from the boy in front of her. Her heart trembled because she knew that Jiraiya would probably kill every single one of them if she took her life right here. But it was all that she could offer, and she was willing to sacrifice it for peace. As she wondered, was this how you felt, Hoshirama Jiji? Remembering the stories when he tried to kill himself for peace with the Uchihas. As Naruto said nothing, as she plunged the kunai straight towards her heart, she heard Jiraiya and Kushina yelled her name. Even Yaiko gasped behind her as she saw the reflection of her parents, her little brother, and Dan smile. She felt something flash against her chest, but it was not pain. She opened her eyes to see blood, but it was not hers, because in the way of the kunai was Naruto's hand as the blood had splashed on her chest. She looked up at him to see him smiling. Enough, he said. You are truly something else, he said. He pulled the kunai from his hand and threw it away. As he picked up her necklace and handed it back to her, Jiraiya's heart nearly stopped to see what this crazy woman nearly do, just like her grandfather. As he looked towards Naruto and saw warmth in the boy's eyes, personality and respect. I accept your oath. Perhaps there is still some honorable people in Konoha, and if a woman like you vouch for heroes in Sarutobi, I shall talk to him. I will hold you to your oath. If Konoha tried to kill me in that meeting, he said, I understand if that happens, I will honor my oath regardless of anything. 4 days from now we shall hold negotiations at Castle Storm. It's a small island between our nations. Each delegations shall insist of their village leader and their small guards only. It will be done, Lord Forchi promised, eager to send the good news back to her leader, her teacher. As Naruto nodded and walked away, with Yaiko following behind him. As Nade smiled, she did it. At least, she did something good. But guys, will be ending this episode right here. If you want the next part of this or know what to do, like, subscribe, comment down below, and turn the bell notifications stay posted. Remember to share this with all of your friends and social media platform. But for now, I'm out of here. See you guys soon. Peace.